January 23, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. This is a pretty slow day. There was no economic data to really move the market one way or the other. I took no trades, and even when I took no trades, I looked back on it and there weren't very many setups. I did mark 2 setups, but then afterwards, everything even before, just didn't quite set up right. So it was a rather very slow day. The volume was low, the price action was low. Each of these candles at certain times of the day took a really long time to close. And right here is 12:50 Pacific Standard to 1 o'clock Pacific Standard, and this is 10 minutes. And then the last 10 minutes is probably where most of the volatility came in. But otherwise, you can take a look and compare today versus yesterday. There's a lot more price action here, and there's a lot less here. So I'm gonna go, well, just gonna go through the charts. It won't take very long because I only really marked 2 setups. And even then, there are other setups I guess you could have taken, but they, for me, didn't look quite right. So I'm all right ending the day with no trades because today was definitely a test of patience because I could catch myself falling prey to taking a trade. And I did stop myself because sometimes the trade just wasn't quite right, but I was on the verge of convincing myself that it was there. But I think some of them worked out and some of them wouldn't have. And the ones that definitely would not have worked out, it's a good thing I didn't take those trades because I would have felt, well, pretty terrible because I would be stretching the rules. So this is in the pre-market. Even in the pre-market, you could already tell the price action is a little choppy. These candles have small bodies and very big tails, or they're very big bodies. So it's just very whipsaw. And even then, the entire trading day could have been contained in roughly, so you see 48.96. Well, I guess if you take it about 48.97 to the lows of about 48.74, that's only about a 23-point range. And even then, most of the time, it was probably within a 10 to 15-point range. And it took forever today for price action to unfold. So definitely, if you didn't take any trades, I could totally see why, because I was in the same boat. So price action in the pre-market was just kind of choppy. It flashed up. At this point in time, right around here, when I started watching the charts, I was thinking it was going to be range bound because it looked like it's kind of range bound. It came up, hit, came down, broke out the green channel, made one push up, second push up, and then it came back down to retest the lows. It looked like it was going to create 2 clean legs, which it did, almost to the tick. Broke out of this green channel, made a new low, so down trend has played out, pushed up one leg, pushed up a second leg. Technically, you do have a new low here. It's the first entry short, pull back, second entry short. The second entry short is a decent signal bar. What I didn't like is it is kind of early, so I wasn't sure. I needed the signal bar to be a little more, I would say, bearish for me to consider. So I left this trade alone, but it's definitely kind of set up there. It's also new high, first entry long, second entry long. Now I didn't want to deal with any of this because as it was unfolding, you get like this hammer, then you get this almost pretty neutral bar, and then you get all these little candles, or not little candles, but these candles have tiny bodies with big wicks. And even then, this is only about 2 points. So this is 2 points of price action right here. And it's just very congested, very compact. So it moves up. I'm thinking it's in a range. So it comes back, touches the bottom of the range. I just saw first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long, but here I'm not thinking long or short. So when this closed, definitely the trade has already been made. So unless you really could predict that this was going to happen, I don't think that anybody would have been thinking necessarily to go long right here. Prices then continue. It made this 4 quadruple test up here. And then technically there's a lower high here, but this lower high doesn't really tell me much other than it moved up 1 tick and then flashed down. So I wasn't prepared to go short. And if you did, you'd have to sit through this mess. And even then, if you look at the candles, there's about 1 minute for each of these candles, which isn't too bad. But later in the day, you're going to see that it takes like several minutes for each candle to close. Prices then broke out. I was thinking it might be a fail breakout here. It is kind of a fail breakout, comes back in, and then pushes down. So there's no setup here. Technically, you have a new high, first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long, What I didn't like about the second entry long is it's coming close to the EMA. EMA is starting to look like it's acting as some kind of resistance. I drew this blue trend line, but it never turned into a channel. So it just, from here, you barely have enough room to get out for 1 point scalp before running into potential resistance of this trend line, which may become a channel, and the EMA. So I didn't like that. It looked like, let's see, 48.81.25. Yeah, 48.82.50. So there's about 5 points. You'd have exactly 1 point scalp if you took it at the high, not even one tick above. So even then, it's a little bit iffy whether you would have gotten out. Prices then continue moving down. So it fits this trend line pretty well. So I'm just watching. It breaks out of this trend line now, creates a new entry. It's like new low, first entry short, pull back, creates a second entry short. I'm not necessarily thinking of going short yet. There is just enough room to get out with a scalp, another 5 to 6 points, 5 to 6 ticks. But I didn't really like this setup yet. And of course, if I did take it, it looks like it would have gotten stopped out. It comes back and touches. So I drew this. Actually, I drew the bottom touches first, and then I matched it up and thought there might be a red channel coming down. Prices continue moving down. This is actually where I saw a setup and I marked it. Creates a new low, makes a first entry short, pullback, creates a possible second entry short here. You don't know it's a second entry short yet, but it is the break of this green channel. Looks like it made one attempt up, pull back, second attempt up, and look like this is about to fail and it's going to come back down to test the lows. There's already 2 pushes up and there's a rejection by the EMA. So I thought this might have been a possible trade. And it looked like if I did enter, I would have gotten the scalp. Prices then continue moving down. It gets very congested here. Nothing really worthwhile taking here. Prices then move and moves back up. Now it confirms the red channel coming down, which is pretty nice. It also created a new low. It's a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Here, I was wondering if there's going to be a second entry short failure, because here, technically, the second entry short hasn't failed yet, but this is a pretty good signal bar for the start of a failure. What gave me pause was, even though there's a good confirmation of this green up channel, overall sentiment is bearish right now. It's kind of a weak bearish trend, but it is bearish. On top of that, if I did believe that this red trend line is in play, then it already touched twice and a third time here. So 1, 2, 3, confirmed. It's telling me that there's a chance that it could hit this as resistance and get pressed back down. So definitely, although the inside bar is right here, it's just giving me pause. It needed to tick below and then push up. Ideally, it would have broke past this red candle. Then I would have felt, okay, maybe it's going to push up through. But here, it looked like it worked. So even though I didn't take the trade, I just said I'll wait for a higher low confirmation. Ideally, it'd come back down, touch here, create a higher low, then I feel more confident taking the trade. Prices then continue moving. I saw this as a new high, first entry long, pull back, second entry long here, but it's kind of in the middle here. I don't know if there's going to be a fail breakout with a push back down into this low. It looked like it kind of got choppy. So if you did take this trade, you'd have to sit through like this mess. Although there's only 3 candles, it's about 4, let's see, 9:26. So it's about 8 minutes of just watching the paint dry here. Then it gets really choppy, pushes up, flashes. Looks like it made one clean leg up, push, second leg up, and it exceeded the measured move. Stops around. It kind of falls into this consolidation area. It's getting, well, just looking at it, it is slowing down, and it's not setting up very clean because you have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. You could reset the count here. First entry long, second entry long. Here, it's a little unclear because it could be breaking through. So when you see the second entry long possibility, and then you have a follow through candle looking this sketchy, definitely I would not be thinking of going long anymore because I don't like the looks of this candle. It needed to close more bullish. And as you can see, if you took it, depending on where you entered, you probably would have gotten the fill and probably would have gotten the point. But this doesn't really tell you much. It doesn't really give you a clear indication. And the blue range isn't established yet. The prices move up, kind of chops around. You have another first entry long, second entry long here. But again, this is a terrible signal bar. Prices then chop, it moves up. It falls into what I think is this green channel going up. I had one touch, two touch, one touch, two touch. So it's not really quite confirmed yet. And then I thought, okay, maybe this is close enough. But then even then, the only setup that I saw besides this one which was first entry long, second entry long. It didn't quite touch the EMA. I wanted it to touch the EMA on a day like this where it just looks very tight. I wanted more rock solid setups to take a trade because I just felt today was very, very choppy and kind of tight trading. So if you took this trade, it would have been more aggressive, a second entry long. But they also see a new high here, first entry long, second entry long. I consider this maybe a second entry long, but I also thought it could just be one leg coming down on the bigger visual. So I saw first entry long, and potentially here, if it bounces off here, maybe a second entry long. It kind of creates a second entry long here, but as you can see, it would have filled you and likely have taken you out. So I was just kind of sitting there watching, kind of confused, not confused, but so much as like price action. I don't want to say it was like super tricky today, but it was just very, very slow, and it just didn't offer much. And on top of that, if you look at where this set up, this is at 12:30, so there's only 30 minutes left of trading, and I've been sitting through this noisy, whipsaw, junky price action for the entire day, so I wasn't feeling too ambitious on taking a trade at that point because it's already pretty much 30 minutes left in the day. So it's a good thing I didn't because it looks like it would have failed and I would have gotten a loss, and then you'd have to ride through the rest of the day with a loss. Because afterwards, as you can see, it kind of gets really choppy. You have a new low here, first entry short, technically a second entry shorts created on here when it moved up one tick and came back down, but it didn't close nicely. So even then, I wouldn't have wanted to take an entry unless this closed way at the bottom. But as you can see, it's 12:48. There's only 12 more minutes, and I always seen that at the last 10 minutes, price action speeds up and it can get really whipsaw. So at that point, I just kind of resigned myself to know that there was probably no trades for me today, and I was okay with that, just because the price action today just wasn't very friendly. It just didn't have much going on for it. So while I saw the charts, I guess I saw two potential trades, maybe this one and this one's a little more iffy. And hopefully, yeah, hopefully tomorrow will be better. Hopefully that's, yeah, excuse me. Hope that was helpful.